Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Wednesday, October the 18th, race number 7 at Keeneland, an overflow field of allowance horses going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf. Let's take a peek. These are fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. It's a non-winners of one other than, and Mike, you could probably make a case for several horses in this race. The number 5, Ola Gata's 2-1 on the morning line. It's Chad Brown, Tyler Gaffalione coming off a good figure win, but that win came at Kentucky Downs, and sometimes that course makes mediocre horses look great and good horses look mediocre.
Yeah, I think that's a valid way to look at those races. I don't know how good Ola Gata is, Dan. Maybe she's just found the right spot. If nothing else, it just, Keeneland, they bring together big fields. That's a good thing. It sort of makes these races wide open as far as the non-winner one allowance goes in this kind of race. It's just, to me, it's not a very strong field. Most of these horses have already had their chances. They're just not that good. Trips will probably be very important in here.
Not only will trips be important, and I do agree, that's probably the most important factor in this race. I didn't see any speed at all. We'll throw up the Timeform US pace projector in here, and the number 8 is Charlie O, and it's not like Charlie O is some blazer. She's stretching out. She has shown route speed in the past, and I would expect her to be close to the pace. I have a feeling the 11, Lakeside Music, who hasn't run in over a year and is stretching all the way out, is going to be fresh.
I can see that horse showing speed. I wonder, the pace projector has the number 4, Ardazzi, up close. I wonder if that horse could make the lead in here. She hasn't been showing big speed sprinting. But the one time that they stretched this horse out earlier in the year at Tampa, she looked like she wanted to go in there. Her rider took a pretty big hold of her to get her back off the pace, but she showed speed in that race prior to that.
I will agree with the LP designation over the number 7, Holy Foley. I believe that filly is the best closer in the race with the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. She is going to need a trip. She's going to need some pace to help her out. A horse with some upside and some tactical speed is the number 1, Empirical View. Now, she hasn't shown that tactical speed in 3 starts to date, but this pace might be so slow that she might not be able to help but be up close. Here she is rallying from out of it, going 6.5 furlongs at Kentucky Downs. She was a big price, but this was her turf debut, and she obviously liked it, at least at the Downs.
Yeah, she did. That's a competitive figure. She earned all in all. Then listen, the trip really worked out for her in here, but I really didn't find anything to complain about with that performance. She always looked like she was going to run through the stretch. She had a clear shot at it. And ultimately, she did get there, and I thought that she finished that race up pretty well. So I'm not concerned about her, stretching out a little bit for this race. I can't say that I love her in here, but she's a horse I'd be using.
I wonder if the number 2, Around the Sun, is just very slightly dirtied up at a big price. This horse got a very nice trip as a debut winner over course and distance last year for Rusty Arnold. I didn't think she had a great trip second time out. That race preceded a long layoff, and then she's had 2 races from tough outside posts. Most recently, she was very wide when she tried to get forward. This time, it's an inside post. She obviously has to run a career best, but she's lightly raced enough that there's some upside.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have to really appreciate the way that you dressed her up a little bit there, Dan, because that's what I was trying to do when I looked at her. I did think that she ran pretty well when she won first time out over this course. And listen, the second start's just a throw out. The trip didn't work out against a really good field that day too. I had a little more trouble, sort of getting behind her off of those 2 starts so far this year, and now another layoff. Those things don't thrill me. But I think there is a way to look at her and just feel like you can give her a chance against this kind of a field, and she's 20-1 on the line.
Now, the number 3 is Tituba, and this is sort of an example of what we've been talking about, how Kentucky Downs might move some horses up. This horse ran once at Gulfstream on the turf for Todd Pletcher, didn't run great, came off the layoff first time for Michael Maker, ran really well at a big price at Kentucky Downs. Then last time out at Churchill, this is the Maker MO. Usually you'd think, well, we can give her an excuse. She was stretching out so far from 7 furlongs to 1.5 miles. That's what Maker does very well with these sort of new arrivals, and Tituba kind of underperformed.
Yeah, she did. She didn't run well in that race. And listen, Maker is really good at that, stretching horses out and getting them to perform, but it's not, nothing's foolproof. It's not going to work with every horse. So maybe you just want to give her a pass for that one and then judge her off of the Kentucky Downs race where she ran fine. But that creates another problem, Dan. That was the one good turf race as at Kentucky Downs. So what does it all mean? I don't know, man. I was confused by this horse. I decided to look elsewhere.
The 4 is Ardazzi. This is another lightly raced filly. She's really done very little wrong in her career for an underrated trainer in Vicky Oliver, and now she's going to switch to Luis Saez for her 3rd start of the form cycle. I like that they're incrementally stretching her out in distance, Mike, and while she didn't fire last time out at Kentucky Downs, that might actually be a good thing because it dirties up her form. Her prior race at Ellis was just fine.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really care about the Kentucky Downs race. I thought she did run pretty well at Ellis when she finally got off the mark. I know that was a 5.5 furlong race, so you have to sort of take that in consideration. But that race at Tampa, when they sent her the 2-turn mile earlier this year, I thought she ran really well in that race. She was only 3rd best in there and just couldn't fight off the 1-2 finishers in the stretch. This horse did make the lead, though. And as I've already sort of referenced it, she was really headstrong early in there. Her rider wanted to get her back off the pace. He eventually did, but that opening fraction, that they were going pretty fast, and she was right up close before he got her settled, and she still ran.
Our morning line favorite is Oligata from the Chad Brown barn, and she had her chances in several races earlier in her career to no avail. She not only seemed to appreciate Kentucky Downs in this race, she got the right trip. It seemed that everything Irad did with this filly worked. Dropped her towards the inside entering the turn, split horses turning into the long straight, got out at just the right time, and here it just looks like Oligata outstays her competition.
Yeah, she is going to finish up, slightly best in here and wind up edging away towards the wire. She ran fine in this race, Dan. I don't like any of her other races necessarily because that was at Kentucky Downs. It just makes it easier for me to just discount her a little bit. And more than anything else, I don't like her race 2 starts back at Monmouth. I don't see what her excuse was that day. She got a great trip. She had every chance to win. The horse that wound up beating her, Tracy Flick, she might be pretty good. She was also off of a 2+ year layoff going into that race.
That's right.
And Oligata could not put her away in there. I don't know, man. This horse is the favorite. Maybe she'll just win because it's Chad Brown, but she's not that good.
Yarborough is going to make her 3rd start off a lengthy layoff for trainer Eric Reed and is incrementally improving with each start. Here she is at Mountaineer going a 2-turn 7 furlongs, and I thought the trip was there for her. She's going to be turned into the stretch and gave a brief look at this horse on the lead, and she just can't seal the deal for the 2nd consecutive race as the favorite. And I usually kind of look with a side eye at some of these Mountaineer races. I'm not sure what's in there.
Yeah, I agree that it's probably not the strongest field in the world. I mean, maybe I'd give her a little more credit if she even made it close in that race, but she didn't. I know that they're going to stretch her out again here. That could work. She did break her maiden around 2 turns with a decent figure too. So maybe we're just not giving her enough credit, Dan, but I don't like that last race.
Holy Foley, the number 7, is a horse again with a strong closing kick, but no early speed, so she must get a trip. Here's her last race at Kentucky Downs. She's going to be able to get up for 2nd in here, but you see she had to kind of dive down towards the inside, and she's over in behind horses. She will finish up with her usual aplomb for 2nd, and again, the good news is she's run well on more conventional tracks. She needs a trip. She needs pace. I think 7-2 is a little bit light. Maybe she'll drift.
Yeah, I agree. Just because, she has so much working against her as far as the running style and the potential pace of this race that you don't really want to take a short price on her unless she really stands out on form, Dan. And obviously she doesn't really stand out on form. Being down towards the inside last time, I mean, make of it what you will, but it's often not a bad place to be at Kentucky Downs. That stretch is really long. You have plenty of time for it to work out. It did work out for her, and she was 2nd best.
Charlie O is the number 8. Timeform US believes that she can get to the lead, and if we look back at her prior route races, she has been able to get to the front. The problem is she failed to seal the deal at Belterra Park. She failed to seal the deal at Ellis. She failed to seal the deal at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Her last race at Kentucky Downs, I guess, was fine sprinting. She's going to be on the lead. She's going to be a big price. I don't want to knock her because that's enough of an angle, perhaps, to like this horse, especially the way the Keeneland turf course has been playing this year, but she's in pretty tough from a class standpoint.
Yeah, she's hard to make a really strong case for her in here. Dan, she's 1 for 11 on turf in her career. That win, her career debut, sprinting 6 furlongs over 2 years ago when she got loose on the lead in there. She hasn't won since. Her figures haven't jumped way up. So it's not like she looks like a strong contender on paper anyway. I just thought she was really hard to like.
The 9 is Mint Edition, another filly. It's going to go off at a big price, a mare. She fell far behind a very fast pace last time out at Horseshoe Indianapolis, and then she just couldn't finish with those horses while trying to weave her way and navigate through some traffic. It was an okay effort. I think we've seen her best, though, after 21 lifetime starts, and I'm not sure her best is good enough to beat this field.
Yeah, I didn't think it was either, and I don't think she's the best closer in this race either, Dan. She's just one of those horses who, her recent form, just there's nothing to get excited about there. She's going to need to catch a couple of breaks if she's going to beat this field. I guess the positive and all that, Dan, is she's going to be a huge price if you like her.
Beach Walk in the number 10 still has some upside. A winner 2 starts back at Ellis Park, kind of a non-factor 7th in her most recent start at Kentucky Downs. I think if she could build off that race from 2 back, she's a horse that might be able to slip into the exotics at the very least.
I think that's a very fair way to look at her, Dan. I mean, she does have a race 2 starts back that gives her some kind of a chance in this field. That was the first time that they stretched her out on the turf as well. Now she's second off of a little bit of a left. She gets away from Kentucky Downs. So that race is easy to, not want to hold against her. And she's going to be a fair price in this race. I'm not knocking this horse.
The 11 is Lakeside Music. She's got a lot working against her. She hasn't run in over a year. She's stretching out from 5.5 furlongs to a mile. She's switching from dirt to turf. She did some nice things in that career debut, but it was so long ago. I wonder if it even matters. Anything on that turf pedigree that you see?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't love this. Unfortunately, she's a super saver. I don't really like the super savers on the grass. This dam has one other foal to race. She's 2 for 2 in her life. They're both on grass, and she just won a grade 1 at Woodbine last month. So there's turf pedigree on the bottom that suggests that she can handle it, but there's plenty of other things working against this horse.
Jenny Lind, the big thing working against her might be this post position. She doesn't have a lot of time to get over going into the first turn at Keeneland. She is a horse that likes to run from behind, so I wouldn't be surprised if Joel Rosario just kind of takes back, tries to ease over near the back of the pack, and then hope something works out from back there from a pace standpoint, from a trip standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what they probably have to do here. She's another horse, though, who has one race with one figure on the grass that would give her a real chance in this race if she could work out the right kind of trip. And oh, by the way, she's another one who gets away from Kentucky Downs.
Of the also eligibles, I think I'd be interested in the first one, the 13, Be My Sunshine. That's Gaffalione's second call behind Olagata, but she ran okay last time out at Kentucky Downs. Her first start off of a little bit of a layup, and she ran well at Keeneland last year.
I agree with that. If any of these horses get in, you would kind of hope that it would be her, because I don't think she's in over her head against this field.
Shoplifter runs main track only. Before we get to our top picks, please click that subscribe button on the Daily Racing Forum YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for our Keeneland race of the day on Wednesday. You're going with Ardazzi, the 4. Again, lightly raced, a lot of upside, tactical speed.
Yeah, all those things that I liked about her, plus the one time that they did stretch her out around 2 turns there at Tampa. I think that's a little bit of an underrated performance, Dan. 10-1, that's fine with me.
I'm a little bit interested in Empirical View at somewhat of a price. I landed on Olagata very reluctantly, and I wouldn't take her at 2-1. I liked her Monmouth race a little bit more than you did, and you mentioned all the reasons not to like it, but I just thought simply from a figure standpoint, she ran a really solid race. Now, does she run that race back here at Keeneland? We'll find out. I don't want her at 2-1. I would use the 1. I would also use a little bit of the 12 in multiple race wagers. Jenny Lind, maybe from the back. 4-1-5-2 for Mike, 5-1-12-7 for me. It's our Wednesday race of the day at Keeneland. Full field of allowance horses. Good luck.